So, here's how this works. Normally in history class, we talk about evaluate this source and make sure it's not biased. Kind of like we're always trying to find the truth, right? Okay? Here's what's different and fun about today. You get to be the source. Instead of reading a bunch of other ones and evaluating them, you get to be the source. And even better, you not only can be biased, you have to be biased. We want you to be biased. So here's what your circle indicates. You guys over here are going to be loyalists. That's a fancy word of saying you're loyal to the king. Okay? You guys over here get to be the rebels. Okay? Which means you're loyal to the revolution and not the king. If the king came to you loyalists and said, I want you guys on my official newspaper to create the front page the day after the Bastille was attacked by these savages, you create it for him. So you see how it's going to be biased? Your guys' setup is the opposite. If the revolutionaries came to you and said, I want you guys to make us the front page of the newspaper about how our freedom fighters liberated the Bastille, you make it for them. Are they going to be biased? Definitely. Okay? So let me show you a good example. I had this up here. We'll see if it still works. President Obama gave a speech on Tuesday night, and we'll see if this will load, because it looks like it's not cooperating. Okay, CNN said, President Obama sells optimism to a nervous country. But what Fox News said about the same speech the same day, see if we can find it. The same speech Obama gave, their headline was State of Denial, ? Obama leaves out many hard facts. So basically CNN made it sound like he gave a good speech. But the same speech, Fox News wrote an article saying basically Obama is lying or delusional. And here's the thing. If you know that Fox News is going to be biased, because they are, okay, they're conservative, which is right-wing. There's nothing wrong with reading Fox News. You should just know what I'm reading is biased. And the same thing is true for CNN. All sources are biased to a degree. They lean the other way. They're liberal to the left. So it's just like saying in a courtroom, you hear the cop side of the story, you hear the defendant's side of the story, and what's the third story? The truth is in the middle. Here's CNN's take. Here's Fox News' take. Here's the truth. Neither one is exactly right. That's like your guys' newspapers today. Okay? So, here's the first thing we have to do, is make wherever we're going to put this newspaper. I'm going to show you some examples. So, King's bias example. Do you guys see that first link? That's for you loyalists. Rebel newspaper example is for you guys. Pop that open. This is a finished product from a past student who did an excellent job. Loyalists, you guys are looking at J.D. Fear made this 3 years ago, roughly, and he did a really good job. Rebels, I'm not sure who made yours, because I had to switch it at the last moment. Here's some things you'll notice. A name of your newspaper at the top, and a logo. A date. A headline. Only one article. You're not making a whole newspaper. You're not writing 5 stories. You only have to write one, and you're doing it on your own. And then on the side, do you see how they have some things about like on page 3 or page 2, read about this? That would be articles that would fit into this newspaper. But you don't actually have to write them, just like a preview. You'll also know at the bottom that they cited their sources. Okay? So that is your example. That doesn't mean copy it, do it just like them. It means, hey, there's somebody who did a work 100% job. Okay, so it's worth looking at. How do you make your own? I'm going to show you how to make one in Google Docs. If you are a loyalist to Microsoft Word, I have no qualm with you. You can make it in whatever you want. Okay, we're going to use a newspaper template in Google Docs that both of these use that I think is really good. So, here's how we do that. Go to your Google Drive. Have I shown you guys how to make Google things from templates. Like in Word, you know how you can find a resume template that's all set up? Do we know how to do that for Google Drive? Have I showed you guys that? One class said I did and one said I didn't, so it's 50-50. Okay, go to your Google Drive and hit the new red button, and you'll get a little menu popping up. We want to go down to More, because we don't want a blank one. Okay? Does anyone get a little option that says From Template, and it has a pencil and a calendar? Okay, here's what we want to get to. We want to get that, and I'll show you how to plug that in once, and you never have to do it again. Yes, sir. Go connect more apps. A lot of people don't know. There are hundreds of apps that you can plug into your Google Drive. Did you know that? My favorite one's called Fusion Tables. You can play with it later and check out some other ones. We're going to search in the Connect apps to Drive. We're going to search for template. And you'll see a From Template option that has a pencil and a calendar. If you search for template, has a pencil and a calendar, you hit Connect. And from now on, when you go New, you can make something from a template. So you don't have to make this whole newspaper format yourself. It'll be in there already for you. Drive Template Gallery, I think. It's got a pencil and a calendar. Or something. Kyler, you're making it too complicated. Now, some other time you can go back and look at some of the other apps. They're just functionalities that you can add to Google Drive, basically. Okay, and you can play with that later. Now, hit New, More, and do you get the From Template option? That'll be there forever. You never have to do that again. So New, More, From Template. Okay, this is the last thing that kind of tells people about this. By default, it looks in Sublet 9, and you only have 2 templates. We don't want anything from the middle school about mummies. So at the top, see how you can switch this to public templates? That means like in the whole world. Okay, now we're going to search public templates. What's a good keyword here?
Public.
Newspaper. Newspaper is one word. And you'll see there are a whole bunch of options. Okay, you can always choose any one you want. I'm going to show you the one that your example you looked at used. If you would rather do it in Word or use a different template, that is your choice. Here's the one that both examples used that you looked at. Colonial Newspaper Template by Rodney Purdue. If you want to see what it looks like before you use it, you hit Preview. And it gives you a screenshot of what it looks like. Does that look familiar? That's a template they used. Now, you don't have to use this one, but find one, because this will save you the time of having to set it all up. Now all you have to do is fill it in. Okay? Just like when you guys write resumes, if you haven't already, for yourself, use a template. Don't start blank and do all the work yourself. Find one that's well made and just change it to your stuff. Okay?
I'm going to click use template, so
Nope, it's not my rubric. Some Rodney dude put it in there. I don't know who he is. One of my classes found it 4 years ago and said, this one's good. And I said, all right.
So, it won't delete like the box?
You can delete and change anything you want. It's just a starting place. Okay? Now, if you'd rather use Word, you can use whatever you want. This is a good option. If you want to use a different one, it's your choice. Okay? But just hit Use. First thing to do, rename it. Whatever one you pick. This is Bastille Day Newspaper. It's the last thing from this semester. It's due Sunday at midnight if you want to get credit for it. If you are gone on Friday, I'm reiterating for you. Just get this done and turned in and you're good to go.
Where was the Bastille at?
In Paris, France. It was there. It got torn down by angry, starving peasants. Yes. Yeah, you'll like this. You're going to make your own. Your group is there for ideas, but you're writing your own. Yes. If you really have to, yeah. July. Okay. whatever template you picked, okay, if you look at the rubric of mine on Canvas, here's the first thing you need. A name of your newspaper, a date, and a logo at the top. The date's easy. July 15th, 1789. Because remember, newspapers come out the day after stuff happened. So your date, somewhere at the top, July 15th, 1789. That's your date. Everybody's date is the same. Now, from here on out, yours might be different than other people's, but we're all July 15th, 1789. Okay. One of the things that seems simple, but some people struggle and rack their brains. We all sat here and cheered when we said schools kill creativity, we hate worksheets, let us be creative, right? But every time we do, here's what I see all the time. I say, come up with a creative name for your newspaper, and someone calls it Rebels Newspaper. And I just want to slap you and say, don't cry about how you never get a chance to be creative, because you're not taking advantage of it.
Well, I better erase that name then.
So, to help you make your name, let me give you some examples of American newspapers today. Here's what you should pay attention to. Not the city or location of the newspaper, but instead of calling it like the Sublette County newspaper, what are the names of ours? Examiner and the Roundup, because it's like a play on Western culture, right? So here are some examples from American newspapers. Okay, the New York Times. Okay, the Times. The Wall Street Journal. Okay, USA Today. Today. The Washington
Big Stone Gap News.
Post. Post. Okay. The Chicago Tribune. The Arizona Republic. Now remember, these rebels want France to be a republic, not a monarchy. Okay? The Dallas Morning News, the Boston Globe, the Miami Herald. Heralds were the guys who would go around and shout the news before we printed newspapers. The Philadelphia Inquirer. It's like asking questions to inquire. The Houston Chronicle. Okay? So, here's what you're going to do. You're going to pair a name of some value or thing that your revolutionaries believe in with the name of a newspaper. You cannot use the word rebel or newspaper. Loyalists, you cannot use the words king or newspaper. That's not creative. So,
What if I did it in French?
no. But you can pick anyone you want and put it in French. Okay?
Oh wait, what are we left field liberals?
Washburn Stone News.
Can I have the cheap newspaper?
If it's crazy.
What do you mean the cheap news?
Mr. McKelvey.
Oh, like 99 cents, you mean? I don't care.
On this, like if you just Google newspapers and like whatever, it shows you the political alignment. Like if it's like left or right.
That's like Fox News is right, CNN is left. Okay, so listen. Listen. You're going to pair two words together. A value or thing that your side believes in, plus the name for a newspaper other than newspaper. So let me give you an example. You can't use the word king, but can you use a thesaurus and find words meaning king or related to king? Okay? You're also loyalists, meaning like we're loyal to the king we've always had for hundreds of years. We've had this monarchy. We're old school. You guys, the revolutionaries. If you looked at the splash page when you first logged into Canvas, I gave you a hint, and some of you probably didn't pay attention to it. Did you see these two French dudes with the red, white, and blue new flag? So we said this is your new flag.
United.
Sure.
Oh, Chancey, you're in trouble.
Oh, I know exactly.
Now, because I know you don't speak French, I have a quote for you from a famous story about the French Revolution called A Tale of Two Cities. If you like the French Revolution, this book is free on Kindle and it's in the library.
Beach Mountain News, that's mine.
Liberty Equality, fraternity. That is the rallying cry of your side. That's their slogan. Liberty, meaning freedom. Equality, meaning we're all treated the same. And fraternity, meaning toga parties in college. Frat houses, right? King Louis the 16th. You don't have to? Like Louis, L-O-U-I-S. X-V-I is 16.
That's cool.
Okay, by fraternity they did mean toga parties and beer pong in college. Like a frat house, that's not what they mean. What does fraternity literally mean?
House.
Brotherhood.
Brother.
So here's your rallying cry. These are some ideas. Liberty, equality, fraternity. And you can find synonyms for all of those words. Okay? So you pair up a value or a word that matches with your bias with a word that means newspaper. So make up your name. You also need a logo. Loyalists. Do not use anything red, white, and blue with the 3 stripes. That is their new flag. You don't want that.
Wasn't it a...
Do you know what symbol the New Orleans Saints have on their helmets? Fleur-de-lis. It's a lily flower. That's your king symbol. Good colors for you. Blue, white, and the biggest one, gold.
Go.
So if you find that fleur-de-lis, and it's on your example, you can Google image search. Okay?
How do you spell that?
F-L-E-U-R, and then
Oh,
okay, but don't get a red one. If you can, gold is a great color.
I got gold.
Blue, white, gold, yeah.
Are we allowed to use?
Yes, we're talking.
Show me.
Yeah.
What's with the broom? Oh. I didn't get it.
It's June, what?
July 15th.
Mr. McKelvey.
So you need a name for your newspaper, the date, and you need a logo that lines up with your bias.
1789?
Can we use the newspaper that's already?
Wait, be creative. You can steal a part of it and make it own.
Okay. I'm gonna list the words.
You're gonna be good at this. This is fun to be biased, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wait till we talk about what you can say about the rebels. But that's true of all races.
I said there's lots of bad
Yeah.
What was his number? XVI?
XVI, which is 16. Okay, anything red, white, and blue is great. If you see the symbol that the New Orleans Saints have on their helmets, that's bad. Don't use it. That's their symbol. The fleur-de-lis, that's bad. Use one. Red, white, blue. And your keywords, see that? That's bad news. Don't use that one. That's good. Red, white, blue is good. Liberté, égalité, fraternité. That is your slogan.
Oh yeah, mine is Torres
Which means what?
killing the king's.
Okay. Yeah, no fleur-de-lis. Anything with that is bad news. But red, white, and blue is good.
1780.
July 15th, 1789.
All we've done is insert logo.
Title, date, logo.
What is it called? Bastille? Oh, Bastille.
Bastille. B-A-S-T-I-L-L-E.
That was cool.
I'm going to get to that one. Yes. That's a stamp. That's like commemorating. I'm guessing those 3 values of liberty, equality, fraternity. I'm guessing. I don't speak French. Okay. Moving on. If you don't have your title, logo, and date, you're going to get set loose here in about 2 minutes. Okay? Here's the next thing I'm going to help you with. You need a headline. This is the big event of the day. It's also what sells your newspaper. Because when you go to the post office, you see the little newspaper machine, right? In that, what part of the paper can you see before you buy it? just the front page. If you don't have a good front page, nobody's going to buy it.
Can
So-
have bad words?
Can I have one, like, kind of bad
School
word?
appropriate.
Is-
Now, I'm going to show you one with a bad word, but I'm going to explain. I'm going to get there. Okay. For your input and intelligence, I'm going to show you 8 newspaper headlines from the United States on a day that's kind of like this. Okay? September 12th, 2001. Okay? This is the front page of the Daily News. It's war. Now, here's what you're going to notice. Is it sometimes more powerful to use fewer words than a whole bunch of words?
Yes.
Notice how it's red. That's a pretty dang powerful picture behind there. Okay, and if you don't see, this is the second plane that's about to hit the other twin tower. That would sell newspapers. That would make people mad. Okay, act of war, World Trade Center destroyed, many dead. Again, plane going into the World Trade Center. Okay, U.S. attacked, hijacked jets, destroyed twin towers, and hit Pentagon in day of terror. Is this biased?
No. Yes.
This is hard for us because we're Americans and you're going to think I'm crazy, but it is biased.
Because
Okay.
they don't think it's terrorist.
Terrorists! That's who did this. Terrorists. Hijacked 4 airliners, destroyed World Trade Center, hit Pentagon, hundreds dead. Now, we didn't know at the time, thousands died, not hundreds. About 3,000 people died on 9/11. Now, we think this is a fair word to use. We call them terrorists, and what they did, we consider an act of terrorism as Americans. Remember, what did the British call us colonists in 1776?
Rebels.
Terrorists.
Terrorists. Does it matter what perspective you look at things from?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Why are you in my class?
I don't know.
To learn to look at things from a different perspective, right? That's why we invite Armenians to come to our schools, so you get a different perspective. Now, this is going to sound crazy. Okay, I'm being a history teacher here, not an American. If Osama bin Laden, the guy who planned this attack, had his own newspaper, would he call the guys who did this terrorists?
No, you
Heroes.
call them heroes.
Martyrs.
Martyrs.
He would say martyrs achieve their goal, go to heaven, get their own planet, and 72 virgins. Now, we laugh at that, but the guys who did that, that's what they thought of themselves. I died for Islam, and I get into heaven for free. We say terrorist, they say martyr. Who's right? Both. What have we always said? There's that story, this story, and the truth. It's more complicated than that, right? Okay, I gotta get to number 8 because it's the best one. Act of war, that's a good one. New Day of Infamy. December 7th, 1941, a day that will be remembered in infamy, according to FDR. He's talking about Pearl Harbor. What's this headline suggesting about 9/11?
It's the new day.
It's the new Pearl Harbor, like it's taking that spot in our minds as Americans. Notice how they all have shocking, awesome, descriptive pictures. Now, I'll explain while you all laugh.
There it is.
Okay, the San Francisco Examiner has that one word, that's it, in all caps with an exclamation point. Is that a pretty powerful headline?
Yeah.
And that's going to sell newspapers. Remember, we said, Americans, we all agree, that's what they are. But they would call themselves martyrs, heroes, freedom fighters. Okay? So, here's your goal. You need a headline to basically set up the Bastille getting taken over by these revolutionaries. You must be biased. You don't say some guys attacked this building. You need to label them as something that your side would agree with. Okay? Here's a good example. In Afghanistan, most of the guys that NATO and U.S. troops have been fighting in Afghanistan, do you know what they call themselves? We call them Taliban and terrorists. You know what they call themselves? Sort of. You're close. Mujahideen. Anyone know what Mujahideen means?
I heard it
I forgot.
Holy warriors is what they call themselves, but we call them terrorists. See how it depends on what word you use? Holy warriors sound like good guys. Terrorists sound like terrible guys. So, revolutionaries sounds better than rebel, doesn't it? Would you ever call these guys terrorists or scum?
Terrorists?
If you work for the revolution, would you call them that?
No.
No. Heroes, brave souls, courageous men, revolutionaries, freedom fighters. You guys would never call them any of those words. You'd call them rebels, you'd call them scum, you'd call them deranged, like these guys are crazy. Okay? What's a verb you can use that sounds more like it was... Yeah, make them sound like the bad guys. I like that, that's very good.
What if mine kind of has a bad word, but you can't read it?
What if mine's kind of like a bad
How do
word?
you, like, it's not big enough?
No, I mean like it's like in Spanish.
Oh, no.
What if it's in French?
Your acronym?
Yeah.
Can I,
Any of those stand for...
bad word.
Don't, if it's a common thing that other people understand.
Can I use a song lyric?
Yeah, what is it? What's that?
If it fits and it's biased.
Yes!
So here's your job. You're going to have to write, Isaac. Don't associate with these guys. They're scum.
Mr. McCookie, may I use the donkey word? It's in the song lyric for donkey.
How about use the @ sign and $2 signs?
Thank you.
Okay, here's your job. You're going to write an article, a paragraph, that's it, about what happened. But your job is to make these guys sound like courageous, brave heroes, and the king like the bad guy. Your thesaurus is your friend. Okay? Now, loyalists, you guys have a decision to make. Good thing we have Google Dictionary. There are two ways to do this, and I want you to think about which path you want to choose. You can either marginalize the rebels, make fun of them, they're a joke, they're puny, not worried about them. Okay?
Specialty.
Now, here's the other way that governments often use these events. If you are a fan of Batman, from the piano guys talk yesterday, I'm a fan of Batman, not like Mr. Stevenson, but I'm a fan. Okay? If you've seen the Dark Knight movie, the second of the new Batman movies,
Oh yeah.
what does the Joker do to the prisons of Gotham City?
John, what is the Joker
breaks all
doing?
of them out.
John, what does the Joker do?
He opens the doors and says, "You guys are free."
No, that wasn't the Joker.
Yes, it was.
No, what the
The
Dark
Joker's only in the Dark Knight.
Wasn't the Joker?
No, the Dark Knight Rises. Is
Yeah,
when
it was the Dark Knight Rises.
No. The Dark
That's
Knight
Bane.
Rises is when the other guy was
Yeah,
massive.
yeah. Why does he open up the prison?
Because he lets them all out on the ship, remember? And he says, if you guys kill
Oh,
them...
that
Google
was-
it.
No, it's like you got
Isaac.
the choice of killing the
Yeah.
innocent and then the.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember watching that.
Okay? Now, here's my point.
Of course, man.
Why would you ever want to tell your people that these rebels unlocked the doors and let all the prisoners free? Why would you guys want to tell your people that?
We wouldn't. Would we?
Yeah.
Yes,
They let
there
out
is a
criminals.
reason.
They let out criminals who are in prison.
Because how does that
Like
make...
now y'all are gonna get raped and murdered.
How...
Right
Okay,
here.
why would you want your own people to be afraid of
Everything's
that?
yours.
Because
As the king.
They could say
They don't want
they
to
weren't
get raped.
trying to take over power, they were trying
How big is
to
yours?
free people who were
That's good.
So they're basically freeing prisoners and they're bad guys. Here's the other reason, loyalists.
20 ounce.
When people are scared,
4 ounces of gold.
who do they look for to protect them and help them?
God.
Now you really need your king. So listen, there's two ways to do this. Make fun of the rebels, they're a joke, don't have to be worried, the king's not even worried about it. Or scare the crap out of your people and say, now we really need our king's leadership. Good thing we have the king. Like, drive them to yourself by scaring them. Does that make sense?
How many
Alright,
articles
go
do you have in here?
On the side,
Wait, do we sign up?
2 or 3. Yes.
That's just to fill out all the
Is
boxes.
this one okay?
You can move the boxes however you want.
You don't need it. It's not important.
But listen,
Oh.
that's the
It's
neat.
just cardboard.
Yeah. You got bread, you don't.
If we
But that we already established is
Randall, bro. Randall is just cardboard.
Okay,
Parisian
dispatch
@ $dollar.
you need to cite the pictures you use, and you have a logo. You're going to put a picture under your headline. There's at least 2 sources you have to cite. If you look at any links online about what happened, I give you 2 here. You can also Google what happened when the Bastille was stormed or storming of the Bastille. You have to put your sources at the bottom in MLA style, at least 2. Everyone has to use at least 2 because you're using 2 images. Okay, the side articles are just for fun, like imagine what things would be in the same newspaper. Okay, but I'm going to turn you loose and I have some sweet superhero music for you. If you are gone Friday for about the 5th time, get this in by Sunday night and you're good to go.